The fist connected with my jaw like a freight train derailing in slow motion, sending stars exploding across my vision as the metallic tang of blood flooded my mouth. I hit the locker-lined hallway floor of Pacific Ridge High hard, the echo of laughter from Jordan Hale's pack of jocks ringing in my ears like a death knell. But it was his eyes, those cold, stormy blue eyes, that burned into me, promising more pain tomorrow. In that split second, as the world spun and my heart hammered with a rage I'd buried for years, I swore to myself this would be the last time he'd ever make me feel small. I wiped the blood from my lip with the back of my hand, tasting victory in the salt of my tears. Not defeat, but the bitter spark of something unbreakable igniting inside me. Jordan loomed above, all 6'2" of quarterback swagger, his Letterman jacket straining over muscles honed from endless practices under the relentless California sun. He smirked, that signature curl of his lip that had terrorized half the school since freshman year. But I saw it now, a flicker, a crack in the armor. "Stay down, freak," he snarled, his voice low and laced with the kind of venom that masked deeper fears. The bell rang, a shrill mercy, and his crew dragged him away. But as the hallway emptied, I rose, my knuckles white around the strap of my backpack, vowing silently that one day, I'd be the one looking down. That night, in the cramped apartment above my mom's taqueria in downtown Laguna Cove, a sleepy beach town where the salt air clung to everything like unspoken secrets, I couldn't sleep. The mirror in our tiny bathroom reflected a boy I barely recognized. Alex Rivera, 17 and fraying at the edges, with bruises blooming like ugly flowers across my cheek. Mom had patched me up before, her hands gentle, but her eyes weary from too many shifts flipping tortillas and dodging questions about my dad, who vanished to the oil fields in Texas when I was 6. "Mijo, why do you let them?" she'd whisper, but I never had an answer. Not until now. I laced up my sneakers and slipped out into the fog-shrouded streets, the distant crash of waves against the pier my only companion as I headed to the old community gym by the boardwalk. It was a relic, all rusted weights and faded boxing gloves, run by Mr. Torres, a retired Marine who saw too much of himself in kids like me, outsiders fighting shadows. Mr. Torres didn't ask questions when I showed up at dawn, sweatpants sagging and determination etched into every line of my face. "You want to learn to hit back, or survive?" he grunted, tossing me a pair of gloves that smelled of old leather and forgotten dreams. "Both," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. For weeks, I trained in secret, the rhythm of punches against the heavy bag drowning out the echoes of Jordan's taunts. Fairy, loser, words that sliced deeper because they echoed the doubts I'd whispered to myself in the dark, wondering why I dreamed of boys' hands instead of girls' smiles. The gym became my sanctuary, the salt-stiffened breeze through the open doors, carrying whispers of the ocean's vast indifference. I grew stronger, not just in muscle, but in the quiet fury building like a storm off the coast. Fury for the kid I'd been, for the love I hid like a shameful tattoo. By mid-semester, the hallways of Pacific Ridge buzzed with the usual autumn frenzy. Homecoming banners fluttering like surrender flags, the scent of popcorn from the snack bar mingling with the faint rot of seaweed washed up on the beach. Jordan ruled it all, his arms slung around cheerleader types who giggled at his every joke, but I noticed the absences, the way he'd vanish after practice, eyes shadowed, avoiding even his own reflection in the trophy case. Rumors swirled like kelp in the tide. His dad, the town sheriff, cracking down harder at home. His mom lost to cancer 2 years back, leaving a void he filled with rage. I shouldn't have cared. He was a monster who'd shove me into lockers, trip me in the cafeteria line, once even keyed queer into the paint of my beat-up Chevy pickup that Dad left behind. But empathy is a thief, stealing in through the cracks when you're not looking. Our paths collided again at the fall festival on the pier, strings of chili pepper lights twinkling against the bruised purple sky, the air thick with fried chuo grease and mariachi music spilling from Mom's booth. I was manning the grill, flipping carne asada with a practice flick, when Jordan sauntered up, solo for once, his broad frame cutting through the crowd like a shark through shallows. "Rivera," he drawled, leaning on the counter with that predatory ease, slumming it with the beach trash. His words were casual, but his eyes, God, those eyes, darted to my hands, lingering on the fresh calluses from the bag. Heat flushed my neck, not just anger, but something electric, forbidden, like the static before lightning strikes the surf. I met his gaze, unflinching for the first time. "What do you want, Hale?" "A free taco to choke on." The crowd around us blurred, the laughter of kids chasing seagulls fading as tension coiled between us, thick as fog. He straightened, towering, but I saw the hesitation, the way his jaw ticked like a bomb timer. "Just checking if you're still breathing after last time." His voice dropped, almost a challenge, but there was a hunger in it, raw and uncharted. Before I could retort, a wave of rowdy sophomores surged past, shoving him into me, our chests brushing, his breath warm against my ear for a heartbeat too long. He jerked back like I'd burned him, color draining from his face, and bolted into the night, leaving me with a racing pulse and the ghost of his cologne clinging to my shirt. Ocean salt, and something sharper, like pine from the cliffs. That brush ignited it all. Training turned obsessive. I shadowboxed in the alley behind the taqueria until my knuckles split, Mr. Torres barking form corrections with a gruff pride that felt like the father I never had. Power's not in the punch, kid, it's in the eyes. Make him see you. I saw Jordan everywhere. In the ripple of waves at dawn runs along the shore, in the flex of his arm tossing spirals at Friday night games, under floodlights that painted the field in silver and shadow. The school whispered about us too. Me, the quiet artist kid sketching mermaids and boys with wings in my notebook. Him, the golden boy with the darkness chasing his heels. Whispers turned to wagers. How long till he snaps me again? But I was done being prey. The breaking point came 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, in the deserted weight room after hours, the clang of iron echoing like accusations. I'd stayed late, pumping reps on the bench press to shake the restlessness coiling in my gut when a door creaked open. Jordan, alone, hood up, shadows carving hollows under his eyes. He froze, spotting me, then squared his shoulders like armor. What the hell are you doing here, Rivera? His tone was all bark, but he didn't leave. Pacing instead, fists clenched, the air between us crackling with unsaid storms. I racked the bar with a deliberate clang, sitting up slow, heart thundering. Same as you, I guess. Hiding. The word hung there, bold and reckless, and his head snapped up, blue eyes narrowing to slits. You don't know shit about me. He advanced, closing the distance, the scent of his sweat-damp skin invading my space. Rage boiled up, years of swallowed hurt, and I surged to my feet, shoving him back. Not hard, but enough to surprise us both. He stumbled, caught himself on the rack, and lunged, grabbing my collar with a growl that was half fury, half plea. We grappled then, a tangle of limbs and labored breaths, the mats muffling our grunts as he tried to pin me, all brute force and pin-up storm. But I changed, muscles memory from endless hooks and jabs guiding me. I twisted, hooked his leg, and drove him down, my body slamming over his, knees bracketing his hips, forearms pinning his wrists above his head. He bucked, cursing, but I held, our faces inches apart, chest heaving in sync. Time fractured. The world narrowed to the heat of him beneath me, the wild pulse at his throat, the way his eyes, fierce, fractured, locked on mine, pupils blown wide with something that wasn't just hate. You think you're tough now? He rasped, but his voice cracked, vulnerable, and in that fracture, I saw it. The boy behind the bully, terrified of the same truths I carried. My grip loosened a fraction, thumb brushing the vein in his wrist, and electricity arced, raw, undeniable. Without thinking, without breathing, I leaned in and stole it. His first kiss, lips crashing against his in a desperate claim, tasting salt and surprise and the sweet undercurrent of want he'd buried deeper than I had. He went still, then melted, a shudder ripping through him as he kissed back, fierce, fumbling, like a dam breaking after years of pressure. When we broke apart, gasping, the weight room spun, the distant hum of the ocean through the vents the only witness to the world we'd just shattered. Jordan's eyes searched mine in the dim fluorescent glow, wide with a storm of confusion and fire that mirrored the chaos in my chest. What the fuck was that? He whispered, his voice rough as gravel. But he didn't shove me off. His body stayed taut beneath mine, every muscle coiled like a spring about to snap. I could feel the heat radiating from his skin, the rapid flutter of his heart against my palm where I'd pinned him. And it took every ounce of willpower not to dive back in, to chase that taste of forbidden fruit that lingered on my lips like sea spray. I rolled off him slowly, collapsing onto the mat beside him, our shoulders brushing in the charged silence. The weight room smelled of rubber and rust, the faint echo of clanging plates now replaced by our ragged breaths sinking like waves on the shore. That, I said finally, staring at the water-stained ceiling, was me fighting back. For real this time. My voice trembled, not from fear but from the raw edge of truth slicing through me. I'd kissed the boy who'd made my life hell, and worse, it felt like coming home. He sat up abruptly, running a hand through his disheveled blonde hair, the strands sticking up in defiant spikes that made him look younger, almost boyish. You're crazy, Rivera. You know that? 1 minute you're nothing, and now this. But there was no venom in his words, just a hollow ache that echoed the emptiness I'd glimpsed in him at the festival. He pulled his knees to his chest, arms wrapping around them like a shield, and for the first time, I saw the fractures, the way his left hand trembled slightly, the faint scar snaking across his knuckle from God knows what family war. I propped myself on an elbow, facing him, the cool mat grounding me as adrenaline ebbed into something warmer, more dangerous. Nothing? That's what you've always called me, right? The freak who draws pretty boys instead of chasing skirts. But you're the one who's been running, Hale. From what? From this. I gestured vaguely between us, the air still humming with the ghost of our kiss. His flinch was subtle, but it hit me like a gut punch, confirmation that I'd struck bone deep. The door to the weight room banged open then, shattering the bubble, and we both scrambled up like guilty kids caught with contraband. It was Coach Ramirez, clipboard in hand, his whistle dangling like a noose. Ale, Rivera? The hell you two doing in here after hours? Lights out 5 minutes ago. His eyes narrowed, flicking between us. Jordan's flushed face, my swollen lip from earlier sparring. But he grunted and waved us out. Save the pissing contest for the field. Go home before I write you up. We spilled into the parking lot under a canopy of stars pierced by the lighthouse beam, sweeping the bay, the chill November wind whipping off the Pacific carrying the promise of rain. Jordan shoved his hands in his jacket pockets, shoulders hunched against the cold. Or maybe the weight of what we'd done. This doesn't change anything, he muttered, kicking at a loose pebble that skittered across the asphalt toward the chain-link fence. Tomorrow, you're still you, and I'm still me. But as he turned to his truck, a gleaming Ford his dad probably bought to compensate for something. I grabbed his arm, the contact sending sparks up my spine. Bullshit. You kissed me back, Jordan. That's not nothing. His name felt intimate on my tongue, like a secret I'd hoarded, and he froze, the muscle in his jaw jumping. For a long beat, he just looked at me, blue eyes turbulent as the sea during a squall, then yanked free and climbed in, engine roaring to life like his unspoken roar. Tail lights faded into the fog, leaving me alone with the echo of his lips and the dawning terror that I'd just opened a door neither of us could close. Sleep evaded me that night, the apartment's thin walls doing nothing to muffle the crash of waves or the whirlwind in my head. Mom was at the graveyard shift, leaving the place empty save for the Virgin Mary candle flickering on the altar by the kitchen window, its flame dancing shadows across faded photos of Abuela in her Guadalajara market stall. I paced the creaky linoleum, replaying the pin, the kiss, the way Jordan's surprise had softened into surrender. Was it pity, rage, or the same buried longing that had me sketching his profile in secret margins, erasing it before anyone saw? By dawn, resolve hardened like sea glass smoothed by tides. I'd face him, force the truth, because hiding had only ever led to bruises. School the next day was a minefield. Whispers trailed me down the halls like smoke, Jordan's crew eyeing me with smirks, as if sensing the shift in the food chain. I kept my head down, dodging the cafeteria line where he'd once dumped my tray, but my eyes sought him out, there at the jock's table, laughing too loud at some lame joke, but his gaze flicked to me across the room, holding just long enough to burn. Lunch ended with a note shoved into my locker. Meet after practice. Cliffs. Don't be a pussy. G. The cliffs loomed at the edge of town, jagged sentinels where the land met the relentless Pacific, paths worn by lovers and loners, alike seeking solace in the roar of surf below. I arrived as the sun dipped low, painting the horizon in fire, my truck's tires crunching over seashell gravel. Jordan was already there, perched on a boulder overlooking the drop, his silhouette etched against the dying light, jacket discarded to reveal the taut lines of his back under a plain gray tee. He didn't turn when I approached, just stared out at the whitecaps foaming like his unspoken fury. You came, he said flatly, voice swallowed by the wind. I sat beside him, close enough to feel the heat of him, the space between us charged with the memory of mats and mouths. Yeah, figured we had unfinished business. Silence stretched, broken only by gulls wheeling overhead. Until he finally spoke, words tumbling like rocks down the slope. My dad's on my ass about scouts. Says if I don't get that full ride to state, I'm out on the street. Mom's gone and he's not the same. Drinks more. Hits harder. His admission hung heavy, a confession pried from bone, and I saw it then. The bully forged in fire, lashing out to forget his own pain. I reached out, tentative, my hand covering his on a rock, rough calluses meeting in a grip that steadied us both. I am sorry, but that doesn't give you the right to make everyone else bleed. He turned, eyes glistening not from wind but something deeper, and leaned in. Not a crash this time, but slow, deliberate, lips brushing mine with a tenderness that unraveled me. The kiss deepened under the cliff's shadow, hands exploring with hesitant wonder, the world falling away to the rhythm of our breaths and the eternal pulse of the sea. We pulled apart breathless, foreheads touching, and in that fragile quiet, he whispered, I don't know what this is, Alex, but I don't want it to stop. For the first time, my name from his lips felt like sunlight breaking fog, and as stars pricked the velvet sky, I knew we'd crossed into uncharted waters, terrifying, beautiful, hours. Days blurred into a secret rhythm, stolen moments pieced together like a mosaic of risk and reward. We'd meet at the gym after dark, Mr. Torres long gone, sparring not to hurt, but to connect, bodies colliding in grapples that dissolved into kisses, laughter bubbling up as we collapsed in heaps, sweat slick and alive. Jordan opened up in fragments, stories of his mom's laugh like wind chimes, the way his dad once cheered at Little League before grief turned him bitter. I shared too. Nights tracing constellations from the taqueria roof, dreaming of art school in San Francisco where boys like me didn't have a hide. It was fragile, this thing blooming between us, a wildflower pushing through coastal cracks, but it felt real, vital, like the first breath after drowning. Yet shadows loomed. His crew noticed the thaw, the way he'd hesitate before a shove, eyes lingering on me in the halls with a hunger he couldn't mask. Whispers evolved into stares, and one rainy Tuesday, it erupted in the locker room after PE. Tyler, Jordan's linebacker shadow, cornered me by the showers, towel slung low, sneer twisting his face. "Heard Hale's going soft on you, queer. What's your game? Turning him with your fairy dust." Water drummed on tiles, steaming the air thick as tension, and I straightened, heart pounding but fist steady from months of work. Before I could swing, Jordan burst in, fresh from practice, cleats squeaking. "Back off, Ty," he growled, stepping between us, shoulders square like a wall. Tyler laughed, bitter and disbelieving. "What? Now you're his bitch. Dad's gonna love this." The words landed like shrapnel, and Jordan's face paled, but he didn't flinch, pushed Tyler instead, hard enough to send him stumbling into lockers with a metallic clang. "Get out, and if you breathe a word, we're done." The room emptied fast, leaving us alone amid the echo, Jordan's chest heaving as he turned to me, eyes fierce with apology and fire. "You didn't have to," I started, but he closed the gap, hands framing my face, kissing me with a desperation that tasted of rain and rebellion. "I did, because it's the only thing that feels right in this shitstorm." We clung there, water pattering like applause, the bond between us forging stronger in the crucible of exposure. Winter crept in on the heels of that confrontation, frosting the coastal bluffs with a rare chill that seeped into bones and secrets alike. Laguna Cove transformed under gray skies, holiday lights twinkling defiantly along the pier like stars fallen to earth, but the warmth they promised felt distant as Jordan and I navigated our hidden world. We carved out pockets of normalcy, late-night drives in my Chevy along Highway 1, windows down to let the wind whip away our fears, his hand finding mine on the gearshift when curves hugged the cliffside. He'd hum off key to indie tracks on the radio, voice low and gravelly, sharing snippets of dreams. Escaping to college, leaving the sheriff's badge, and broken home behind. I'd trace patterns on his palm, confessing my sketches of him as merman kings ruling hidden coves, and for those stolen hours, we were just two boys falling, untethered from the town's judgmental tide. But normalcy was a lie we told ourselves. School amplified every glance, every accidental brush in the crowded halls turning heads, fueling the gossip mill that ground slower, but sharper in a small town where everyone knew your sins by breakfast. Mom noticed too, her eyes sharpening over dinner plates of pozole, steaming with hominy and pork, the steam curling like questions. "Mijo, you've been smiling more. Is there a girl?" Her hope was gentle, wrapped in the love of a woman who'd crossed borders for a better life, but it twisted the knife of omission. "Just figuring things out," I'd mumble, guilt heavy as the silver cross around her neck, wondering how to bridge the chasm without shattering her world. Jordan's fractures deepened with the season. His dad ramped up the pressure, drills in the backyard turning brutal under floodlights that buzzed like angry hornets, bruises blooming on Jordan's ribs that he'd brush off with a tight smile when I pressed. One night, after a particularly vicious practice where coach had benched him for a fumbled snap, he showed up at the taqueria unannounced, hood pulled low, rain sluicing off him in sheets. Mom was in the back, tallying receipts, so I pulled him into the storage room amid sacks of masa and crates of chilies, the air thick with cumin and confession. He collapsed against a shelf, head in hands, shoulders shaking not from cold but the dam finally cracking. He found out about the scouts. Said if I choke again, he's shipping me to military camp, like Mom wanted before she. His voice broke, raw as an open wound, and I wrapped him in my arms, holding him as sobs racked his frame, the mighty quarterback reduced to a boy adrift. "You're more than football, Jordan. You're everything." I murmured it into his wet hair, rocking us gently, the scent of rain and him grounding me as much as him. When he lifted his face, eyes red-rimmed but clear, he kissed me slow and deep, hands roaming with a gratitude that bordered on worship, bodies pressing into the shadows until the world outside faded to irrelevance. That vulnerability bound us tighter, but it also made us reckless. We started sneaking into the abandoned lighthouse at the pier's end, its spiral stairs creaking under our weight as we climbed to the lantern room, fog glass offering a panoramic view of the moonlit bay. Up there, wrapped in a pilfered blanket from my truck, we'd talk for hours about the stars wheeling overhead, the mermaids in my drawings that he claimed looked suspiciously like him with fins. Laughter came easier, touches bolder, his fingers tracing the curve of my spine under my shirt, my lips mapping the constellation of freckles across his collarbone. It was magic, that airy of ours, a beacon in the fog where love whispered louder than fear. Yet fear had teeth. Tyler's silence broke a week before Christmas break, his betrayal slithering through the team like poison ivy. It started with sidelong glares in the locker room, escalated to graffiti scrawled on Jordan's truck, Fairy QB, in dripping red paint that mocked the holiday cheer. Jordan laughed it off at first, scrubbing it away with me in the taqueria lot under sodium lights, but I saw the toll. The way he'd tense at every shadow, second-guessing our stolen glances. "It's nothing," he'd insist, but his eyes pleaded for belief, and I'd pull him close in the truck's cab, kissing away the doubt until he believed it too, if only for the night. The storm broke on a frost-laced Friday, the last game before break against rival Crestwood High, the field a muddy battlefield under stadium lights that haloed the players like fallen angels. I sat in the bleachers with Mom, who I convinced to come for team spirit, her scarf bundled tight against the wind whipping off the waves. Jordan dominated the first half, spirals arcing like comets, the crowd roaring his name in a chant that drowned my pride and terror in equal measure. But halftime brought Tyler's revenge, a whispered taunt in the huddle, loud enough for echoes, about Hale's new halfback, off the field. The team erupted in jeers, and Jordan faltered. Snap fumbled in the third quarter, Crestwood surging ahead on a pick-six that left him sprawled in the end-zone mud. Helmet off, face a mask of anguish. I bolted from the stands, Mom's confused call trailing me as I vaulted the fence, cleats forgotten in the rush. The sidelines blurred, coaches yelling, teammates milling, and I reach him just as he staggered up, jersey caked in defeat. Alex! His voice was small, broken over the din, and I grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the tunnel's shadow, away from prying eyes. You don't get to quit on me now, I hissed, but tenderness undercut the edge, my hand cupping his mud-streaked cheek. He leaned into it, eyes squeezing shut, and for a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then Coach's bellow shattered it. Hale, get your ass back out there. Jordan straightened, fire reigniting in his gaze, and squeezed my hand once, promise, anchor, before jogging back into the fray. The second half was legend. Interception stuffed, a game-winning touchdown hurled through rain-slick air, the final score sealing Pacific Ridge's glory. The crowd surged, but Jordan's eyes found mine across the chaos, a silent vow amid the cheers. Post-game, the locker room buzzed with backslaps and beer sneaked from coolers, but Tyler cornered Jordan by the benches, voice of venomous hiss. Knew you were weak. Whole team's laughing now. Your boyfriend's little cheerleader act. I was there, towel dried and lurking, and the red haze descended. I lunged, fist connecting with Tyler's jaw in a crack that echoed like thunder, the room falling silent as he crumpled. Chaos erupted, shoves, shouts, but Jordan hauled me back, his arm around my waist, whispering hot against my ear, not worth it. Come on. We fled to the cliffs again, adrenaline crashing into exhaustion under a canopy of stars peeking through scudding clouds. He bandaged my split knuckles with a first aid kit from his truck, hands steady but eyes stormy. You could have gotten suspended. For me. I shrugged, wincing, but pulled him down beside me on the damp grass, our bodies aligning like puzzle pieces worn by waves. Worth every detention. You're worth it. The kiss that followed was salt and blood and unbreakable will, his hands urgent as they slipped under my hoodie, exploring with a reverence that peeled back layers of armor. As Christmas lights twinkled distant from town, we lay tangled, breaths mingling in the cold air, and Jordan traced my jaw with a fingertip, voice soft as snowfall. I love you, Alex. Scary as hell, but true. The words hung, a gift wrapped in vulnerability, and I echoed them back, heart full to bursting, the first real holiday light in years. But love in Laguna Cove was a lighthouse in fog, guiding but battered by storms. Break brought tentative peace. Jordan at my side for tamale-making marathons in the taqueria kitchen, Mom's wary smiles thawing as she saw the light in his eyes mirroring mine. We exchanged gifts under the apartment's sagging tree. A leather-bound sketchbook from him, pages already filled with his clumsy attempts at drawing me. A silver chain with a wave pendant from me, cool against his skin as I fastened it. Nights blurred into wonder, bodies learning each other in the alcove of my room, whispers of forever against sweat-damp sheets. Yet the new year loomed with reckoning. Tyler's grudge festered, whispers reaching the sheriff's ears through town vines. One sleety January evening, Jordan's phone shattered the idyll. A call from home, his dad's voice booming through the speaker like Judgment Day. Get home now, boy. Heard some bullshit about you and that Rivera kid. If it's true. The line died, and Jordan paled, keys shaking in his hand as he dressed. Stay here, I begged, but he kissed me fierce, a lifeline in the tempest. I have to face it. For us. Hours ticked by like heartbeats in the dark, Mom's rosary beads clicking softly as she prayed in the living room. When headlights pierced the window at 2 a.m., relief curdled to dread. Jordan's truck idling, him slipping inside with a split lip and haunted eyes. He knows, he whispered, collapsing into my arms. Through the chain, call me every name. Said to end it, or he's done. Sobs racked him, and I held tighter, fury boiling for the man who'd forged a weapon from grief. Dawn brought decision. We drove to the cliffs, the bay a steel mirror under overcast skies, and there, with the wind howling our truths, Jordan chose. I'm out. No more hiding. The kiss that sealed it was defiant, a declaration against the gales, our love of force as unyielding as the rocks below. Spring unfurled over Laguna Cove like a hesitant promise. Wildflowers carpeting the bluffs in defiant bursts of color against the ever-restless sea, mirroring the fragile bloom of our public truth. Jordan's coming out rippled through town like a stone skipped across still water. Ripples turning to waves that crashed against old foundations. The team fractured. Some jocks ghosted him. Lockers slammed with extra force. Others, like quiet lineman Marco, clapped his shoulder in the halls with a gruff "About time, man." Whispers followed us everywhere, a susurrus of judgment and curiosity. But Jordan walked taller, his hand brushing mine in fleeting touches that dared the world to blink. School became a gauntlet, but we faced it armored in each other. I'd wait by his locker after calculus, our fingers intertwining briefly before parting for classes, the simple act a rebellion sweeter than any punch. Art class offered sanctuary, my easel now capturing him openly, portraits of his profile against sunset cliffs, blue eyes alight with the freedom he'd claimed. "You're biased," he'd tease, peering over my shoulder during lunch, but the flush on his cheeks betrayed the thrill. Mom adapted with grace, her initial shock melting into fierce protectiveness. She'd slip extra empanadas into his backpack, muttering me "Eho now too," with a wink that eased the knot in my chest. Yet scars lingered, festering under the surface. Tyler's vendetta peaked mid-March, a prank that crossed into cruelty. Our trucks vandalized in the parking lot, slurs carved deep into the hoods, "Fags go home," the letters jagged as hate's blade. Police lights flashed that afternoon, Sheriff Hale's cruiser pulling up slow, his face a thundercloud as he surveyed the damage. Jordan stood rigid beside me, chin lifted while I gripped his hand hidden behind our backs. "This is bullshit, Dad," Jordan said, voice steady steel. "And you know who did it." The sheriff's eyes flicked to me, cold appraisal turning to something sharper, and he grunted, "Handle your own messes, boy. And keep that distraction out of it." The dismissal stung, but Jordan's squeeze anchored me as deputies dusted for prints, the lot a circus of stairs. Tyler got hauled in by evening, caught bragging at a bonfire, paint on his boots, but the real trial was Jordan's home front. Dinners turned interrogations, his dad's barbs slicing over mashed potatoes. "Ruining your future for some phase? Think of your mother." Jordan fired back one night, plate slamming down. "Mom would have wanted me happy, not miserable like you." The shout echoed, followed by silence thick as fog, and he fled to my window at midnight, climbing the fire escape with a duffel half-packed. We talked till dawn in my bed, bodies entwined for comfort more than heat, his head on my chest as waves lulled from the open pane. "He's wrong," I murmured, fingers combing his hair. "You're building something real." He tilted up, eyes searching mine in the moonlight, and kissed me soft, a seal on vows unspoken. Morning brought fragile truce, his dad grumbling apology over coffee, the words choked but present. "Just don't throw it away." It wasn't absolution, but it was a crack in the wall, light seeping through. As prom season buzzed, our love faced its grandest stage. Banners draped the gym in twinkling stars and ocean blues. The theme, Under the Sea, a nod to our coastal veins. Jordan cornered me after practice, sweat damp and grinning, a corsage box dangling from his fingers, simple white orchids twined with sea glass. "Go with me." His vulnerability peeked through the bravado, and I laughed, pulling him into a hug that drew whistles from lingering teammates. "Only if you were the bow tie I made, blue to match your eyes." Mom cooed over fittings in the taqueria backroom, pinning my rented tux with tears glistening. "My boy's so handsome." Prom night arrived swathed in magic, the pier alive with lanterns bobbing on waves. The gym transformed into an underwater dream with projected kelp swaying on walls. We arrived arm in arm, Jordan's bow tie crooked just so, my hair gelled into waves, and the room hushed. A beat of stairs before applause rippled from unexpected corners. Marco's crew, art club kids I'd bonded with over brushes. We danced under disco balls mimicking moonlit ripples, his hand warm on my waist, our bodies swaying to slow songs that blurred time. "Never thought I'd have this," he breathed against my ear, and I spun him playful, drawing laughs that chased shadows. But joy's underbelly stirred. Tyler lurked at the edges, suspended but crashing the after-party at a bonfire on the beach, flask in hand and grudge burning brighter than driftwood flames. As flames crackled and bottles clinked, he staggered up, slurring, "Look at the lovebirds. Bet you two make a real splash in hell." Laughter tittered nervously, but Jordan stepped forward, calm as tide pools. "Walk away, Ty. It's over." Tyler swung wild, fist glancing Jordan's shoulder, and the fight ignited. Bodies piling in a scrum of sand and fury, my punches landing true from gym-honed instincts until Marco hauled us apart, sirens wailing distant. Cops dispersed the chaos, Tyler cuffed and carted, but the night left bruises beyond skin, Jordan's eyes swelling purple, my ribs aching from stray kick. We limped to the cliffs afterward, dawn painting the horizon rose, collapsing on our boulder with blankets from the truck. "Worth it?" I asked, dabbing eyes from a cooler on his brow. He grinned through the pain, pulling me close. "Every hit. For nights like this." We made love there under a rising sun, slow and sacred, bodies healing what words couldn't, the ocean's roar our only witness. Summer beckoned with scouts' visits, Jordan's throws clocked at camps up the coast, his star rising even as rumors nipped at heels. We escaped to Big Sur for a weekend, Mom's blessing a quiet gift, camping under redwoods that whispered ancient tolerances. Trails wound to hidden coves, where we'd swim naked in chill waters, laughter echoing off rocks as we chased each other like kids unbound. Evenings by firelight brought depths. His fear of leaving for college, my dreams of SF's vibrant streets. We'll make it work, he'd vow, stars reflected in his eyes, and, I believe, our love a bridge spanning distances. But bridges strain. August heat wave baked the town, tempers flaring with the mercury. Sheriff Hale cornered me one sweltering afternoon outside the taqueria, his cruiser idling like a beast. "Stay away from my son," he growled, badge glinting mean. "He's got a future. You're just a detour." Words landed like slaps, but I met his gaze, voice even. He's choosing his path, and I'm on it. He drove off, tires spitting gravel, but the threat lingered, a shadow over our son. The breaking came at Jordan's senior send-off barbecue. The beach packed with grills, smoking and coolers sweating. Laughter flowed free until his dad arrived, face florid from beers, mic in hand for toasts. To Jordan, future star, if he keeps his head straight. The jab hung, crowd shifting uneasy, and Jordan stood, glass raised, voice carrying over surf. To straight? Nah. To being true, to Alex, who showed me love's not a game to win, but a risk worth every tackle. Silence. Then cheers erupted, Marco whooping loudest, but his dad's face twisted storm dark. That night, blows fell in their kitchen, fists and shouts, Jordan bursting from the house with a black eye and resolve steel. He came to me, duffel in hand. I'm done. Moving in with Aunt Lena in San Diego till college. Heart ached at the miles, but pride swelled. We spent his last nights in Laguna tangled in my sheets, memorizing touches, whispering plans, weekend drives, calls till voices hoarsed. Departure day dawned clear, his truck loaded under palm shade. Hugs stretched, eternal. Mom pressing tamales into his cooler with teary visit soon. As he pulled away, hand out the window waving, I stood on the pier, waves lapping like farewells, knowing distance tested but didn't break us. Fall semester at San Diego State hit Jordan like a blindside sack. The campus sprawl of palm-lined quads and buzzing frat rose a far cry from Laguna's quiet coves. His text lit my phone at odd hours. Classes kick ass, but miss your sketches, attached with a selfie of him in dorm blues, grin wide, but eyes shadowed by homesickness. I dove into senior year at Pacific Ridge, art portfolio swelling with pieces inspired by our separation, canvases of lighthouses beaming through storms, boys reaching across churning seas. Mom's taqueria thrived on my extra shifts, the rhythm of chopping onions and meditation that kept loneliness at bay, but nights brought ache, dreams of his hands pulling me under like riptides. We bridged the gap with ferocity. Weekend shuttles up I-5, my Chevy eating miles to crash in a shoebox dorm, bodies reuniting with the hunger of castaways. San Diego's vibe enveloped us. Tacos from street carts at midnight. Walks along La Jolla shores where seals barked approval, his arms slung casual over my shoulders in crowds that didn't blink. Feels free here, he'd murmur, lips brushing my temple, and I'd nod, heart full, sketching him against sunset sails. But freedom's edge sharpened doubts. Parties where co-eds flirted bold, teammates ribbing him about settling down too young. He'd laugh it off, pulling me closer, but I felt the pull of unseen currents. Back home, Laguna simmered with change. Tyler's expulsion cleared air, Marco stepping up as quarterback with a quiet allyship that mended team rifts. I mentored underclassmen in art club, sharing stories of hidden colors, my own coming out a beacon for kids who'd once cowered like I had. Mom dated a kind fisherman, her laughter filling the apartment like sea foam, and Mr. Torres promoted me to assistant coach at the gym, his gruff proud kid a medal heavier than gold. Yet voids persisted. Empty passenger seats on cliff drives, the lighthouse's spiral stairs echoing solo footsteps. Thanksgiving brought reunion, Jordan home for turkey and tension. His dad's truce held brittle. Stiff handshakes over stuffing, eyes avoiding mine, but nod at the table. Good grade, son. Cracked the eyes further. Post-feast, we escaped to the pier, bundled against chill winds, his hand warm in my glove as fireworks burst over the bay, painting our faces in fleeting glory. 1 year down, he said, nuzzling my neck. Forever to go. The kiss tasted of cranberry and certainty, but his phone buzzed mid-embrace. A scout's callback for spring combines, the big league's whispering temptations. Winter break deepened bonds, snow rare but flurrying one night, blanketing the beach in wonder. We built a fort from driftwood, huddling inside with thermoses of mom's hot chocolate, sharing dreams. His NFL whispers tempered by coaching aspirations, my SF Art Institute acceptance letter clutched like a talisman. Intimacy wove tighter, explorations in the fort's shadows tender and teasing, laughter mingling with gasps as snow melted on skin. You're my anchor, he breathed, and I traced his jaw. And you're the storm I chase. Spring trials tested resolve. Jordan's combines dazzled. 40-yard dashes clocked elite, arms rifling passes like bullets. But media hounds sniff personal angles, a tabloid blurb quarterback secret. Gay game changer, hitting stands like shrapnel. Backlash brewed. Anonymous calls to his dorm. Dad's old buddies at the station fielding complaints. He called me late one night, voice frayed. They wanted to tone it down, date a cheerleader for optics. Like I'm a prop. Rage flared for him, but I soothed. You're Jordan Hale, not their poster boy. Play your game. His exhale was relief, and by dawn, he drafted a statement, bold, unapologetic, leaking to campus rags. Loves my strength, not my weakness. The move went viral, supporters flooding his Insta with rainbow flags and cheers, but Homefront quaked. Sheriff Hale exploded over Easter dinner, fork clattering as he bellowed, "You're tanking everything." For what a boy. Jordan stood calm thunder. For me, Dad. And Alex. Mom taught me love heals, remember? The room froze, his dad's face crumpling, not to fury but grief, chair scraping back as he stormed out. Later, alone on the porch, Jordan found him staring at faded photos, a tentative hand on shoulder bridging chasms. I miss her too, Jordan whispered, and tears fell shared, the first crack toward mending. My graduation loomed, cap and gown fittings a whirlwind of pride and panic. Jordan drove down for the ceremony, front row with Mom and Mr. Torres, his whoop loudest as I crossed the stage, diploma in hand like a key to futures. After party on the beach glowed with bonfires and toasts, his arms around me under stars, whispering, "Seth, next, I'll commute. Make it work." But logistics loomed. My scholarship dorms, his training camps dotting the map. We vowed video dates, surprise visits, love as the glue holding fragments. Summer scorched in, internships filling days, me at a local gallery curating queer artist exhibits, Jordan at a San Diego youth camp coaching kids with gentle hands that echoed his softening edges. We stole weeks at Big Sur again, Redwood's cathedral to our renewal, hikes to waterfalls where we'd plunge naked, shrieks turning to kisses under cascades. One evening, fire crackling, he knelt sudden, ring box from his pocket, a simple band of sea glass set in silver. Marry me? Not now, but promise, when life's not a sprint. Tears blurred my yes. The rings slipping on like fate, our bodies celebrating under canopy, love a symphony of sighs and sea. Fall parted us crueler, SF's fog-shrouded hills swallowing me in a lecture halls alive with color and kindred spirits. Texts flew constant. Miss your laugh, his with dorm pizza selfies, mine with sketches of Golden Gate goals. Visits bridged. Him sneaking up for gallery openings, me down for games where he'd dedicate touchdowns to my artist, crowd roaring approval. But distance nod, missed calls from late practices, my group critiques, running long, small phrase in the fabric. Thanksgiving tested threads. He arrived harried, combined stress, etching lines. And over pie, words spilled, an agent pushing straighten up clauses in contracts, Dad's tentative support wavering under town pressure. Am I enough? He asked, vulnerable in kitchen lamplight. I cupped his face, fierce. Always. We're rewriting the rules. The night healed in my old room, bodies reaffirming vows, but dawn brought resolve. Therapy sessions for him, processing grief's tangles, pride events for us, hands linked in marches that thunder change. Winter holidays healed further, his draft buzz peaking with pro day invites. We rang in New Year on SF's Embarcadero, fireworks exploding as he spun me laughing, ring glinting promise. But February's chill brought blizzard. Injury in a pickup scrimmage, torn ACL, sidelined for months, dreams teetering. He spiraled, calls terse with pain. What if this ends it all? I drove down through rains, finding him in PT gym, crutches propped, eyes hollow. It changes path, not us, I said, kneeling to kiss his knee, then lips pulling him into light. Rehab became our ritual. Me weekends, cheering reps, sketching his grit for motivation. His dad visited once, awkward in hospital scrubs, grip firm on Jordan's shoulder. Pour sang, win or not. Tears fell, and later, over burgers, he nodded at me. Take care of him. Progress bloomed. First steps unaided, then jogs on SD beaches, our runs hand in hand, love the wind at our backs. Spring thawed doubts, his recovery montage going viral. Come back, kids, queer heart. Fans rallying with Love Wins tackles. My exhibit debuted to acclaim. Pieces of us woven in abstracts, Jordan front row beaming. Summer sealed strength. Engagement party on Laguna Cliffs, Mom's tamales, and Aunt Lena's cake. Toast to futures intertwined. As draft night neared, nerves hummed electric. We holed in his apartment, TV glowing, his hand crushing mine as names called. Jordan Hale, San Francisco 49ers, first round. The room erupted, us tangled in joy, rings clinking toasts. Distance dissolved, he'd train nearby, our worlds converging. The roar of Levi's Stadium on draft night encore lingered in our bones. Jordan's jersey number 12 emblazoned like a talisman as we navigated the whirlwind of rookie life. San Francisco swallowed us whole, its hilly streets a labyrinth of acceptance, rainbow crosswalks underfoot like permanent parade grounds. We leased a loft in the Castro, bay views from floor-to-ceiling windows, framing bridges, and fog that rolled in like old doubts, only to burn off by noon. Mornings started with his protein shakes clinking beside my coffee, sketches scattered on the kitchen island amid cleats and canvases, a domestic symphony that grounded the glamour. Training camp hit like a tidal surge, Jordan vanishing into Niners facilities for dawn drills and film sessions, emerging sun-scorched and sore, but alight with purpose. I meet him post-practice at waterfront cafes, his cap pulled low against fans. Our booth a confessional for war stories. Coaches barking plays, vets hazing rookies with relentless ribbing. They know about us? I'd ask, and he'd grin, stealing my fries. Hell yeah. Teammate asked for date tips. Said I'm lucky. Pride swelled, but undercurrents tugged. Media scrums probing personal life, agents advising keep it PG for endorsements. My art world bloomed parallel. Gallery shows in Soma, warehouses, queer collectives embracing my coastal narratives, sales funding a studio nook in the loft. Nights, we'd collapse together, his massages easing knots from weights, my fingers painting lazy patterns on his back, stories exchanged like currency. A collector's gushing over cliffside vows, his locker room banter turning allyship. Intimacy deepened in the city's pulse. Dinners at Hidden Mission to Carious echoing mom's flavors. Dances in clubs where lights pulse to heartbeats. Bodies pressed in freedom's laguna never granted. Yet fame's glare cast long shadows. Fall opener loomed, tickets scalped sky high, and pre-game hype fixated on Jordan. Hail's Hail Mary, from small-town bully to Bay hero, articles dredged ghosts, his high school reps as terror, my anonymous scars omitted but felt. He paced our loft eve of, playbook open but unread. What if I choke? Prove them right. I pulled him to the rug, straddling his lap, hands framing his face. You're the man who chose love over fear. Play for that. The kiss anchored, slow, burned to fire, clothes shedding like old skins, reaffirming in the dim glow of skyline. Kickoff Sunday dawned electric, the stadium a cauldron of scarlet and gold, foghorns blaring welcomes. I sat owner's box with Mom, flown up, eyes wide at luxury, and his dad, truce evolved to quiet support, silver hair catching lights. Jordan's entrance drew thunder, arm-pumping crowd roar, and the game unfolded epic, scrambles evading sacks, a touchdown spiral threading impossible windows. Halftime score tied, tension coiled, but third quarter's drive sealed legend. 50-yard bomb to wideout, Hale's name chanted seismic. Post-whistle, he vaulted stands to us, helmet off, sweat sheened and beaming, kissing me fierce amid flashes, Dad's nod approving, Mom's whoop proud. Victory blurred into after-parties, but home called earliest. Loft alive with takeout and champagne, his MVP chain dangling as we toasted on the balcony, city sprawl twinkling benediction. We did it, he murmured, ring turning on my finger. Lovemaking followed languid, celebratory, bodies mapping victories in whispers and waves. Season progressed in highs and hits. Wins stacking, Jordan stats dazzling, but losses bruised, concussion sidelined weeks, press conferences grilling motivation amid scrutiny. Off-field, we built roots. Holiday tree trimming with rainbow ornaments. Mom visiting for Thanksgiving spread, blending pozole and turkey. His dad softened further. A fishing trip to Laguna, yielding stories of young love lost. Parallels drawn tentative. Your mom's strength in you, he told Jordan over lines cast a surf, and I glimpsed the boy he'd buried under badge. Winter storms mirrored inner tempests. A brutal divisional loss. Intercepted pick six sealing defeat, sent Jordan spiraling, loft echoing with thrown pads and curses. I'm fraud, all hype, no hold. I found him on balcony, rain lashing, and wrapped him in blanket, pulling the couch. Heroes fall. Rise for us. Tears came then, rare vulnerability, and I held, sharing my own flops, a critique Chopin sentimental slop. Dawn brought reset. Joint run along embark, legs burning, hands linked, therapy resuming, his processing fame's facade. Spring training beckoned south, but we stole escapes. Yosemite weekends, granite domes under us as we hiked to vistas, picnics of cheese and churros, nights in tent zipping close, stars canopy to dreams. One ridge top, wind whipped, he dropped to knee again. Vows renewed, rings exchanged in sunlight, till every season. Laughter choked tears, the yes echo across valleys. Back in the Bay, exhibit season peaked. My solo show Tides of Us at a Mission Gallery, pieces chronicling our arc. Bully shadow to lover's light, Jordan's portrait centerpiece, eyes fierce tender. Opening night drew crowds, him in suit mingling awkward but proud, sales soaring as collectors whispered inspirations. A reviewer penned, Rivera's canvases pulse with redemption's raw heart, love as anchor in turbulent seas. His arm around me post-closing, we toasted with sangria, future canvases endless. Summer off-season allowed breaths. Charity camps where Jordan coached inner-city kids, me leading art workshops, our energies sinking in mentorship's joy. Laguna visit healed old wounds. Cliff's now sites of picnics, not pins. Lighthouse climbed with his dad, stories shared over views. Tyler, reformed in community college, approached sheepish at a beach cleanup. Sorry, man. Was scared kid myself. Handshake bridged, forgiveness a wave-washing slate. Fall Redux brought playoff chase, stakes soaring. Divisional rounds tested mettle. Clutch field goals. Jordan scrambles heroic, but conference semis crushed. Overtime fumble. Lights out on dreams. Locker room post-mortem raw, but he emerged steely, presser declaring, loss builds. Love sustains. Fans rallied, hail heart trending, and home, we mourned then mended. Baths drawn steaming, my hands needing tension, talks turning to legacies beyond grids. Off-year pivoted potentials. Endorsement deals for him. Queer-friendly brands touting authenticity. My fellowship to Paris Atelier, a year abroad sketching sane lights. Panic flickered a year. But we plotted monthly flights, virtual dates, love's endurance proven. Departure eve, loft-packed bittersweet. He drove me to SFO, kiss at security a vow. Paris lights can't outshine you. France unfolded vivid. Eiffel glows, croissants flaky, studios humming with muses. Letters flew digital. His training montages, my Louvre sketches infused with Bay Blues. Holidays apart ached. Him with family, me Zoom toasting from cafe. But reunions blazed. Him surprising at Bastille Day, fireworks rivaling our sparks, sane boat rides sealing separations temporary. Return heralded new chapter. Contract extensions, my gallery directorship. Wedding whispers grew. Cliff's venue, ocean efficient, vows echoing waves. Life's gridiron leveled. Tackles turned triumphs. Love the eternal play. Years wove forward like threads in a grand tapestry. Jordan's career cresting waves of Super Bowl glory and MVP nods. Mine etching name in art circles with exhibits touring coast to capitals. The loft evolved to a house in No Valley. Victorian charm with bay windows framing kid drawings, now ours. Adopted twins, Mia and Luca. 5-year whirlwinds with his curls and my hazel spark. Mornings chaos. Cereal bowls clattering. Jordan in apron flipping pancakes shark-shaped. Me corralling backpacks amid laughter that filled voids once hollow. Parenting schooled us anew. Sleepless nights with fevers. School plays where he'd cheer loudest from wings. My bedtime story spun from Cliff legends. And the bully became a hero. I'd whisper, Mia's eyes wide. Luca giggling at kissy parts. Jordan's games became family pilgrimages. Luxury box our perch. Kids in mini jerseys waving foam fingers. His touchdowns met with hugs post-whistle. Helmet swapped for high fives. Media's softened to features. Hail family. Tackling life with love. Photos of us at pride parades. Rings glinting under rainbows. Challenges crested too. His shoulder surgery, sidelining a season. Rehab grueling with twins tugging sleeves. My retrospective deadline clashing with Luca's recital. Guilt gnawing as Jordan covered solo. Fights flared. Sharp words over divided duties. Silence is heavy as fog. But reconciliations deepen bonds. Date nights recapturing youth. Counselors guiding communications dance. One anniversary. Cliffs revisited. Babysitter bound. We pinned playful on grass. Kiss stealing time. Rings cool against warming skin. Laguna roots called periodic. Summers at the taqueria. Mom. Now abuela. Spoiling grandkids with horchata and hugs. Her garden blooming with roses named for us. Jordan's dad, retired sheriff, softened to teddy bear. Fishing poles passed to Luca. Stories of young Hale's mischief drawing parallels to boys' antics. You two fixed me. He'd grunt over barbecues, eyes misty at waves. Tyler's redemption arc intersected unexpectedly. Out as by at a team alumni event. Now youth counselor channeling regrets to guidance. Beer shared post-game. Old scars aired. Toast to growth. You pinned more than me that night. Pinned truth. Alliance formed. Him officiating our vowing ceremony years back. Words solemn. From fear to family. Wedding day dawned perfect. Bluffs carpeted in petals. Ocean chorus to vows. Jordan in tailored navy. Eyes blue as horizon. Me in linen white. Heart pounding as we circled hands. Rings sliding. Eternal. I pinned you down once, he quipped in exchange. Guests chuckling. But you stole my heart forever. Laughter dissolved to tears. Kiss sealing under arch of driftwood and lights. Twins scattering bubbles like stars. Honeymoon in Big Sur echoed beginnings. Redwood cabins, hikes hand in hand. Nights firelit with wine and wonders. Back, life resumed amplified. His Hall of Fame trajectory, my TED Talk on art as anchor, collaborations blending, jersey designs for charity, murals at stadiums depicting lovers' leaps. Twins grew title. Mia's soccer cleats mirroring dad's, Luca's brushes echoing mine, family vacations to Paris where they'd chase pigeons, Jordan and I stealing glances over crepes. Love's flame undimmed. Challenges evolved. Teen moods, testing patience. My touring clashing schedules. But unity held. Weekly check-ins, adventures as glue, like surfing lessons where he'd steady my board, whispering ride the wave with me. Aging graced, gentle. Silver threading his blonde. Laugh lines framing my smiles. Body softer, but touches surer. Retirement loomed post-Super Bowl ring. Another Lombardi clutched in confetti storms, and transition thrilled. Coaching high schoolers in Laguna, passing torch with stories of pins and kisses. My studio gallery thrived, mentorships to young queers, exhibits retrospective of our saga. Anniversaries marked milestones. 10th at Lighthouse, spiral climb to Lantern where we'd first whispered forever, now with kids' artwork framed below. 20th on yacht, bay cruise with family, toast to endurance. Dad's passing mid-journey, quieted joys. Grief's wave cresting. But memorial on cliffs, his badge laid to sea, healed in shared sobs. Jordan's arm, eternal anchor. Legacy bloomed. Foundation for LGBTQ plus youth sports. Camps blending art and athletics. Testimonies from kids who'd found strength in our story. One evening, Mia, now teen, confided crush on girl, our hug fierce. Loves your play. Call the shots. Luca's coming out followed. Boy with gentle eyes, pride parade our float, hearts full witnessing cycles turn kind. Golden years unfolded serene. Laguna home base. Mornings walks on pier hand in hand. Grandkids tumbling beaches. Art shows retrospective. Jordan's biography penned collaborative. From bully to beacon. Evenings porch swinging. His head on my shoulder. Waves lulling reflections. Best tackle ever. Falling for you. Twilight years painted Laguna Cove in softer hues. The sunsets over the Pacific stretching longer. As if time itself lingered to savor our story's gentle close. Our cliffside home. Expanded with sunroom gallery for my easels and a den for Jordan's memorabilia. Stood sentinel, windows framing the eternal dance of waves that had witnessed our every turn. Wrinkles mapped our faces like cherished maps. His hand in mine gnarled but sure during sunset strolls along the pier, where fairy lights now twinkled year-round in our honor, a town plaque nearby reading, Alex Rivera and Jordan Hale, pioneers of love's shore. The twins, now young adults, charted bold paths. Mia captaining her college soccer team, out and proud with girlfriend in tow, her wedding on these same bluffs, echo of ours. Jordan's toast tear-choked. Pin your dreams. Mija loves the win. Luca's graphic novels grace shelves, queer heroes inked from our tales. His partner a quiet poet who sketched us during visits. Family dinners alive with debates and desserts. Mom, eternal matriarch, presiding with stories of border crossings, her eyes dancing. Loves the real journey. Ms. Amores. Grandkids added sparkle. For sprites under 10, tumbling the beach with kites and castles. Jordan on knees building moats, me narrating mermaid myths infused with our truths. And the bully learned to kiss back. I'd embellish, their giggles harmonizing with gulls. His wink across, sand as spark undimmed. Health's tides ebbed. His knee replacement from gridiron ghosts. My arthritic brushes steadied by voice memos dictating visions. But adaptations deepened joys. Audiobooks of our biography read aloud. Adaptive kayaks gliding coves where we'd once swam fierce. Community wove us tighter. Foundation galas at the old gym, Mr. Torres, frail but fierce. Keynoting with these boys punched shadows into light. Tyler, now director, shared stages, his scars badges of growth, collaborations yielding scholarships named Pin Down Hate. Pride events swelled. Our float grand marshal. Hands waving from vintage Chevy convertible. Tears for the boy I'd been. Terrorized in hallways now havens. Reflections came in quiet amplitudes. Anniversaries at the lighthouse. Stairs climbed slow. Lantern room. Our airy, eternal. 50th golden. Family flown in, cliffs alight with lanterns, vows renewed under stars, his voice gravel tender. Stole more than a kiss. You stole my fear, gave me forever. Rings turned, guests hushed, ocean applauding, loves are complete yet circling. Ailments crept insidious, his heart murmur worsening, checkup stern with slow down. We traveled light, Italian villas evoking Paris sparks, Mexican beaches nodding to roots, savoring sunsets hand-clasped, whispers of gratitude. Homeward, routines anchored. Porch chess where he'd cheat playful. My wins sketched commemorative. Evenings jazz on radio. Slow dances in kitchen. Bodies swaying memory. The end whispered soft. Autumn leaves carpeting paths like farewells. A chill November morn. Post-walk, he faltered on porch steps. My arm catching as breath labored. Hospital confirmed. Heart failing, months if lucky. Family rallied. Twins bedside. Grandkids drawings taping walls. Mom's prayers murmured rosaried. He fought gentle, PT laps in halls, but weakness 1 inches. Hospice came homebound, our room ocean-viewed, windows open to waves lullaby. Days blurred tender, family rotations, his stories regaled, grandkids clustered. Your grandpa pinned the world once, with love. Nights ours alone, bed shared, my head on his chest, hearing final rhythms, his fingers tracing my ring. Best life, Alex. You. Final week, clarity sharpened. Visitors called, us cocooned. No regrets, he'd ask, eyes blue faded but piercing. None. Every bruise, every kiss led here. Laughter weak, but present, plans for after, his ashes scattered cliffs, mine beside, eternal pin. Pain managed, morphine veiling edges, conversations delve souls. Laguna boyhoods, that weight room thunder, San Francisco dawns, twins' first cries. Love you infinite, he'd murmur, and I'd echo, tears salt as our first. Dawn of the last day, sun gilding waves, he stirred, pulling me close. One more kiss. Voice thread, but smile crooked familiar. Lips met soft, decades distilled, taste of salt, sweetness, surrender. See you on the other shore, he whispered, hands slackening in mine, breath easing to quiet. Grief crashed immediate, tidal, family gathering in sobs and stories, his passing news rippling global. Tributes from leagues, galleries draped black. Funeral on bluffs, casket driftwood woven, eulogies heartfelt. Mia's dad taught strength and softness. Luca's poem kisses conquered. Ashes released to wind, scattering seaward. My handful last, whispered pinned forever. Months blurred survival. Art stalled, walks solo echoing absence, but love's lessons anchored. Foundation thrived, scholarships blooming in his name. Exhibits retrospective hours, stolen kisses, a life pinned in color. Family knit tighter. Mia's twins arriving, named Jordan in honor, tiny fists clutching my finger promise. Years softened sorrow to shimmer, his presence in every wave, every laugh. On anniversaries, Cliffs called, me with sketchpad, drawing his silhouette against horizons, colors vibrant as first hook. One eve, sunset ablaze, wind carried whisper, his voice, surely. Miss you but proud. Legacy endured. Books penned collaborative, films scripted from our arc, youth finding mirrors in our mirror. In quiet studio, brushes move again, portraits of us eternal, young and fierce, title the pen that freed. Life's final canvas nears close, body wearying but spirit surfing swells. Grandkids gather now, stories spun of great-grandpa's tackles and great-gramps' art, their eyes holding futures bright. As fog rolls gentle, I feel him, hand in mine, kiss stolen anew. In the end, he wasn't just the bully feared. He was the love that pinned my heart, stealing breaths till last. And in that theft, we found meaning. Redemption's arc, love's unyielding gridiron, where every fall rises to embrace.